Chapter 3, Hard-Boiled Detective. Watch from a quiet corner of the living room as John and Dante ushers Nick's other guests inside. What's going on? Are the police here? No, but we found something you all need to hear. No offense, Finn. You have a great voice and all, but whatever you have to say, I think I'd rather hear it from the cop. The door opens. Met Honey peels off a pair of latex gloves as she enters. She moves slowly, reluctantly. You were right, Finn. Right about what? What are you all talking about? I think you all should let Mad Honey share what she found. Finn, John, and Dante came to me half an hour ago with a theory that Nick had already suffered a head injury before he landed. That's a pretty specific theory. How did you think it up? We examined the body. You what? They were right to take another look. I missed it last night, but there's a pre-existing wound beneath his impact fracture. How could you miss something like that? Because I'm a family doctor, Pete, not a forensic pathologist. Back up. What does all this mean? Someone hit Nick? Something hard enough to cave in his skull, and then they pushed him out the window to try and cover it up. Watch the shock ripple between the other guests as they put the pieces together. But we're the only ones here, which means the murderer. Yes, is one of us. Oh, hell no, I am not staying here. You don't have a choice. The authorities called a little while ago. That was the other reason I wanted to talk to you all. The landslide blocked the pass even worse than what they thought. Nobody's getting in or out for at least a few days. I told Nick that building a mansion somewhere this remote was a terrible idea. So what? We just chill in a house with a serial killer until the cops come to find our mangled corpses? Let's not go crazy, okay? We have plenty of food. There's no reason to think that whoever killed Nick will strike again. Okay, but they still murdered Nick, my boss, your friend. Exactly. We could all be in danger. Whoever killed Nick might not be a serial killer, but they just found out that their charade isn't going to work, which means they're going to be very, very desperate to avoid being found out, and desperate people are dangerous. Okay, but who died and made you the investigator? Nick did, and she trusted Finn. But we don't have any reason to. No offense, Finn, but we don't know you. If Finn wants to take this burden, then she has my support. And she won't be alone. Whatever you need to get to the bottom of this, Finn, I'll help. So will I. Nick would have wanted me to do everything I could to keep you all safe. Cool, our lives in their hands of a 2-bit bodyguard, an author, and a nepo baby. We are so screwed. If you two really want to help, be my guests. You welcome their help. I'm going to need all the help I can get. We did make a good team this morning. This isn't a kumbaya moment, I'm just doing my job. So what now, Private Dicks? Are you gonna lock us in our rooms, program all of Nick's robo-vacuums to surveil us? No. Now each of you is going to tell me where you were when Nick died. We'll talk one-on-one. Give me a few minutes, then Jen will let you know when I'm ready for you. You let out a long breath as you return to the privacy of your bedroom to find a notebook and pen. I'm not a hard-boiled detective, Nick. I'll do my best for you, but I doubt your murderer wants to play ball. And I doubt your innocent friends want to talk to me. Either. Why should they? I've got no actual authority or experience here. You, the writer. Detective? Find your notebook on the room's desk, and give yourself a once-over in the mirror. Maybe if I looked more like a proper investigator, they'd take me seriously. I could try on something new. Diamond choice. Style and substance. Getting answers means looking the part. I guess. Good thing Nick told me to pack something sharp but serious for the mystery game. God, he would have gotten such a kick out of seeing me in this. You'd better be watching over me, old friend. I can't do this without you. You make your way to an old-fashioned study near the guest wing. Dante and John are waiting for you with your first interviewee. Angelina sits in a chair by the fireplace, her shoulders uncharacteristically hunched. She manages a weak smile as you approach. Nice threads, Detective. Nick would have loved them. I hope so. I wish he could have seen them. Fresh tears well in her eyes, but she blots them away with a tissue before they can fall. I'm ready. Ask whatever you need to. Angelina, what did you do after we were assigned our roles for the murder mystery? Not much. I was already dressed for dinner, so I was in the parlor for the most part. Emphasis on the most part. I remember you stepping out pretty early for a while. It felt like... Yeah, I don't think I saw you until after that we found Nick. Well, I went upstairs to fix my makeup. I'm not sure what time. And... Did you see anything unusual? No, my sweet Nicks are on separate wings, so I would have taken a different path to anyone trying to reach him. And where were when he fell? Downstairs. I stopped to pour myself a drink in the smoking lounge. It's right next to the courtyard. That's when I heard him fall. Can anyone else verify that you were downstairs at the time? She hesitates just for a moment too long. No, but... She leans forward as though she's afraid of being overheard. I think you need to talk to Crystal. That woman's always given me a weird vibe. If anyone's keeping secrets in this house, it's her. I'm not coming out of this room to be murdered. Crystal, we just want to talk. The door in front of you opens just a crack. She peers out at you, then glances warily at John Dante beside you. Fine, you can come in, but only you. I'm locking the door behind you. I refuse to die today. You and me both. John puts a hand on your arm as you go to step inside. Just be careful in there. Always. Crystal hastily locks the door behind you and settles on the rug on the floor. An oil burner fills the room with a cloying scent. Your outfit got a suspect to open up. You left the parlor about halfway through the night and never came back down. Why? I wasn't up there killing anyone. I got spooked by the storm, remember? I was still in my room when you found the body. Doing what? Drinking ashwagandha tea and giving myself a UV treatment. She picks up a handheld device. At the press of a button, a UV light on one end flickers to life. The storm and the whole vibe of the house had me so on edge that I needed to distress. This is an amazing product. Not my design, but I'm guessing you have no way of verifying your alibi. No, I was alone, but I did see someone skulking around the halls on my way up. Oh my god. This is just like the Murder by Major when Detective Bunce finally sits the Dean down, trick him into confessing. I guess. You look to Dante and John for help, and to your relief, Dante steps forward, giving Liz a sympathetic look. Liz, this is serious. I know, I'm sorry, I'm so excited to finally meet Finn, and now it feels like we're in the scene from one of her books. It's okay. All of our emotions are all over the place. Right, sorry, Finn, go ahead. Can you tell us where you were when Nick died? In one of the upstairs offices, I think. Oh my god, everyone was upstairs at this point. Jesus Christ. And Nick asked me to take care of a work thing. An assistant is never really off the clock. And look, I know that doesn't give me an alibi, but I promise you I didn't kill Nick. He was a great guy and the entire reason I have healthcare. I never hurt him. Can you think of anyone who would? No, that's what's so confusing about all this. The only reason I know who was ever jealous of him is... Oh, Lord. Where do you three get off on questioning me? Oh, so much a reason to kill Nick as I would. Whoa, back up. What the hell are you talking about? Nick's will, hello. The one he always talked about riding his friends into. You never heard him say that? Sure, but that was a joke. I know he didn't have any kids to inherit, but he wasn't actually going to leave all of his money to... Actually, he was. Nick updated his will last year. Everyone here is an equal beneficiary to his fortune, us included. Great, so we have all inherited billions of dollars. And the less there are, the more it goes around. So... did everyone else know about this? I mean, he told me. It's not like I was his number one bud, but I'd put myself a third. Maybe fourth, if we're counting Angelina. Steve, is that a yes? Yeah, it's a yes. Everyone knew, except for you, I guess. Okay, so that gives everyone who knew about the will a serious motive to killing Nick and making it look like over half the people in this mansion are already loaded. Who needs cash so badly they'd kill a friend? Listen, if you met half the millionaires or billionaires, they'd kill their own mother for more money. I know plenty of loaded people who'd steal $20 from your wallet just to prove they could. And all I can tell you is that it wasn't me. I went upstairs to try to talk to Nick, but I couldn't find him. So I went to my room and had a drink on my own. Drinking alone. So you don't have an alibi. Neither do you, man. I don't see anyone grilling you about it. Nobody's getting special treatment. In fact, Dante's up next. Dante looks at you from the hot seat, shifting uncomfortably. Sorry, I didn't say anything about the will situation. I just figured you knew. We all weren't talking about it. In hindsight, I can see how that doesn't look good. Where were you when Nick died, Dante? I was upstairs. Jesus Christ. I was upstairs taking a phone call. The only person who could corroborate that is dead. You were on the phone with Nick? No. I heard him up the stairs. He'd called down to tell me he'd be ready in a few, but I didn't go up to see him. Now I wish I had. What about the person you were talking to? That won't be possible. I wish I could say more, really, but it wasn't about Nick, and I'm not the one who hurt him, I swear it. Seems sincere, but I can't forget that I'm talking to an actor. Dante... You're right, this doesn't look good. You need to give me something more to go on. All I can tell you is that it involves an NDA. Well, that doesn't matter. You should still at least get the person to corroborate that you were having an NDA discussion. That's all we need. You care more about non-disclosure agreement than clearing your name? It's not a matter of what I want. But I'm guessing my lack of a solid alibi counts me out of this detective party. I'll leave you both to it. He sighs, stands, John follows him to the door, closing it firmly behind him. Now I get why actors need writers. Even Crystal had a better alibi than him. You think he's lying about the NDA? I think it makes for a convenient excuse not to talk. It makes 5 suspects so far, not a single alibi between them, which brings us to you. He gestured to the chair and he raises an eyebrow. You're my alibi. We were literally standing next to each other when Nick came through that window. Which is why I'm taking a break from Nick's cagey friends to pick your brain. He takes a seat, shifting his weight awkwardly. He seems like someone who doesn't spend much time sitting on Nick's luxurious furniture. How many people had keycards to Nick's suite? As far as I know, only me and Nick. It's unlikely he gave someone else access without telling me, but not impossible. Including Angelina? It's a little weird that Nick's girlfriend wouldn't have access to his suite, isn't it? That's your opinion. I'm not paid to have opinions about my clients' relationships. He paced around the elegant room, studying his body language as you think. So you don't think anything about the fact that they were having relationship problems? He goes to speak, then seems to think better of it. He clears his throat. I didn't know you'd put that together. You're sharp, but I'm a bodyguard, not a gossip columnist. His eyebrow twitches as he speaks. A tell. He knows more about Nick than he's letting on. If I press him, I might learn a little more about Nick and the mysterious Jun. You pull up a chair, sitting opposite Jun. He's so close your knees are almost touching. I don't buy that you don't know anything. You were Nick's shadow. But not his therapist. I saw things, sure, but we didn't talk about them. So what did you see? Because from what I saw yesterday, Nick and Angelina obviously still cared about each other. He hesitates, clearly annoyed at himself that letting that much slip. You feel a spark of pride. There was nothing significant, no fights, but I got the sense that they were drifting apart. They hadn't spent the night in each other's room in weeks. Nick was spending a lot of time away from the home, working mostly, but there was some solo socializing. What was Angelina doing during all this? Did she go out solo too? No, she spent most nights here. You ponder this information, trying to reconcile it with how happy Nick and Angelina seemed yesterday. It's because it's a facade for friends. Do you think they were gonna break up? I couldn't say. Why not? Because judging the health of other people's relationships isn't my area of expertise. And because you're right, I think they really did care about each other. They've been together for a couple of years. It seemed like there was a commitment. You sit back, studying his face, and for the first time you notice the subtle shadows beneath his eyes. Did you sleep at all last night? Did anyone? How about the night before that? Or the night before that, as Nick's bodyguard, you had to be with him 24/7, right? Not quite 24/7. I am human. Sleeping still required. But you were always close by. You were always on alert. Well, that's the job. That must make it hard on your own relationships. He shrugs, his eyes unflinching as they return your gaze. I'm sure it would, if I had any. So, what do you do to unwind? Pardon? You are familiar with the concept unwinding, right? It's synonym, including relaxing, de-stressing, chilling out. I'm familiar with the concept. I'm just surprised that you'd be interested in knowing the answer. You are an important person in Nick. I want to know what makes you tick, or untick in this case. A rare smile flickers at the corner of his lips. I like to cook. Are you any good at it? I'm a perfectionist, so it wouldn't be a source of unticking if I wasn't. Are we done here? Not quite. We haven't talked about all of your movements last night. You were with me when Nick was murdered, but I saw you stepping out on your own earlier, a bit after Nick went upstairs. Where did you go? I wanted to make a loop of the estate before the storm broke. I do a perimeter check every night. He says it calmly, as calmly as anything else, but his jaw tenses a little. And? You didn't see anything? No, I was focused on making sure all the staff had left safely and that nobody was trying to sneak onto the property. Does that happen often? Nick's a billionaire. People are always trying to get to him. I should have been paying more attention to his guests, but given that they were all his best friends... He clenches his jaw, pulling himself together. I took my eyes off the ball and it cost him everything. That's not your fault. He told you to take the weekend off, John. Repeatedly, in front of everyone. And I should have realized how that would embolden anyone looking to hurt him. You run a hand over your chin, trying to piece everything you've learned together. Nick's relationship troubles, his will, this party. Did Nick have any enemies that you know of? He was a billionaire, so there are a lot of people who were jealous of him and lots of people ethically opposed to his wealth. But no specific person you'd consider a threat. No, Nick was the kind of person who had made friends, not enemies. Not every rich guy I've worked for can say the same. I'm just saying, everyone has enemies, even me, seriously, and I've never done anything to anyone. If you don't have enemies, then you're not doing something right, I'm just saying. But You don't have to have enemies to be a target. Nick's wealth attracted plenty of parasites. Whoever killed him might not have hated him. They might have just wanted to use him. For money, connections, take your pick. I hadn't even thought of that. That's a point in your favor for being one of the genuine ones. A point? And I get an automatic pass for being Nick's oldest friend? Nobody gets a pass. That's the only way this investigation is going to work. Fair enough. He nods slowly, mulling over John's insides. Should I bring the next one in? Yeah, I'll be over at the desk. I just wish someone in this house besides us had an actual alibi. I stepped out early in the evening to take a work call, but I wasn't gone long, 20 minutes tops. The call should be in my phone log. And you were back in the parlor when Nick was pushed through the window? Yes, when you found him, I was standing right next to Farah. So, what were you doing when Nick died? What I do best, enjoying myself. She lounges across the desk from you, her elbow propped on one arm and leg loosely crossed, but you notice a subtle tension in her jaw. Can you be more specific? Why should I? You might look the part, but you're not a real investigator. Why should any of us trust you to handle this? You should trust me. Because I don't see anyone else volunteering. She gives out a dry laugh. Of course not, it's a completely deranged thing to do. Our friend was murdered, and you don't think that's a question that needs answering? Sure. By the army of authorities who will flock to this place once the pass is clear. But this is your coping mechanism. I guess I can enable it for now. Look, I can't tell you much. I was talking to Pete when Nick died. That syncs up with what Pete said earlier. We finally have two people with a solid alibi, or they worked it out beforehand. Yep. We were talking about Budapest, which is a city I can talk about for hours. Alright, Scarlet Joe. A memory from earlier that night comes to you, of a glittering dress vanishing out a doorway as you wandered the halls. Did you go upstairs at all last night? Earlier, yes, for bed. I went to my room. What for? You already dressed. She gives a sly smile. Like I said earlier, I was enjoying myself. I keep a few recreational substances in my luggage, which, as a fake cop, you can't tattle on me for. That tracks with her whole party girl vibe, but she didn't look like she was on anything last night. Either I'm just not good at reading the signs, or she's lying. Did anyone else know about this? No, and no. I didn't see anyone on my way up there. What about in the parlor? When you got back, did you see anyone talking to Pete? Sorry, I don't remember. But if you're looking for something odd about last night, isn't it weird that the only doctor here missed Nick's actual cause of death? No one saw them, but they didn't see anyone. Okay, got it. I told you I'm a family doctor. I'm not trained to examine corpses for any cause of death, let alone a suspicious one. I'm not surprised. You two saw something I didn't. Murder is a special interest for you and John. Well, he's seen a lot in his career. Then where were you when Nick died? It took you a minute to get to the body when we called for you. It was a few rooms down. I had a headache, so I was making the most of the quiet before the party started. That did tracks, because I think she complained about that beforehand. So you were alone. Yes, but that doesn't mean I'm lying. I'm a doctor. I took an oath to do no harm, and I mean it. Yeah, listen. You could tell when I did her voice, right? That as soon as she did that, I'm like, you mean it. I don't buy doctors when they say that now. Especially when it comes to friends like Nick. A few minutes later, once Madani has left, you slump into the chair by the fireplace with your notes in your lap. Oh, so after all that, 6 of our suspects don't have a solid alibi. Given Nick's will, all of them have a motive. Why now, though? If someone was desperate for money, why kill him this weekend? Sorry to interrupt, but I just found something you both will want to see. Dante raps on the study's door and ducks inside, looking askance at both of you. Dante? You found something by chance? Not by chance. I felt like garbage after our conversation earlier, so I tried to think of what I could do to help you. Uh-huh. And I remembered Nick's typed note. We talked this morning about how weird it was that his laptop wasn't in his suite. So I searched every room I had access to until I found it. But I thought you two would want to take a look before I touched it. It feels awfully convenient. Do you want to see it or not? He leads you to an upstairs office where a laptop sits closed on a metal and wood desk. He glances at Dante and Jun as you approach it. It is convenient that Dante randomly found such a key piece of evidence, and I still don't know what Jun's full agenda is here. I think we should look at this together, because in case Jun is innocent, or Dante, at least there will be more people who are witnesses. Thank you. I know that's not an easy thing to say when there's all a little on edge after last night. Are you sure? We started investigating this together, no point in stopping now. You carefully open the laptop, revealing a passcode screen. The cursor blinks at you, standing between you and Nick's secrets. Damn it. Does anyone... It's his birthday. Of course, it's not like he's a tech billionaire with a world-changing robot code to secure or anything. You tap Nick's birthday into a passcode box. Nick's note appears exactly as you read it last night. I'm sorry, I hope one day you'll forgive me. Asshole. Asshole's right. I repeated this goddamn note to myself over and over last night. This murder had me thinking I'd failed my friend. I wonder if there's an earlier draft. Let me check the autosave cache. I never would have thought of that. I'm an author. Autosave is the closest thing I have to a personal assistant. Oh, preach, girl. You find the earlier versions of the document, click through, effectively watching the killer write Nick's death sentence. I'm grateful you gave me that. I'm sorry. I hope one day you'll forgive me. It doesn't even look like they corrected word choices. The killer knew what they wanted to write. Look at the earliest timestamp. That's over an hour before Nick fell. Yeah, no one sits there and goes, yeah, I'm gonna do it in an hour. Which means his murder was premeditated. Can you get anything else from the document or his laptop? The killer knew this laptop would be a piece of evidence. I doubt they touched any other documents. An icon jiggles at the side of the screen. You frown and hover the cursor over it. It's Nick's email account. He's still logged in. If he had problems with anyone, there might be evidence of it in there. Investigate Nick's emails to find another clue. We should investigate his emails. Hope there's nothing too embarrassing in here, Nick, but we're trying to catch a murder. You open Nick's email account, immediately arch an eyebrow at the amount of spam in his inbox. Okay, we have spam, more spam. Some emails between Nick and Wush's R&D department. Huh, I didn't know he was launching a new product. He wasn't yet, but he was always brainstorming with R&D. Let's do the spam. From Whoosh, dear CEO, this problem with the company, please follow this link to correct. Why didn't he filter this to a spam folder? I think he got a kick out of it. Once you hit Nick's level of fame, you get targeted by some pretty funny phishing scams like that one. Points to an email with the subject, Nick, it's me! Nick, my beautiful son, I am so happy to have found you at last. It's your mother, but son, I need your help. If you will send me 500k, I will explain everything when we finally meet. That's unhinged. Nick never met his mom. Nick was contacted by a different mom almost every week. He got a grandma once. That was fun. Who was it really? Some 30-year-old guy in Texas trying to fund his own startup. Nick gave him some pointers on raising legal capital. R&D emails. It sounds like Nick was working on something called Project Whoosh Little Baby. Ever heard of it? He never mentioned that to me. I skimmed through a few email threads between him and the Whoosh R&D team. It looks like a small baby monitor that can analyze a baby's cries and tell them what they need to be held, fed, and be played with. That's cute. And very Nick. R&D liked the challenge of it, but it looks like it didn't have a lot of support from anyone else. Not all of his ideas were hits. He keeps scrolling through Nick's inbox and spots some now familiar names, Dante and Jun. Jun's email need a favor. Wow, time got away from me. Check in. Looks like you've both emailed Nick in the last few weeks. I'll need a favor. From JunSeongGalliant.com, you got a Nick-specific email address? It's my work account. I like to use a secure server. Of course you do. Subject, need a favor, Nick. I'll need to take a first weekend of July as PTO thanks, Jun. You don't garnish your emails, huh? It's a PTO request. What else do I need to say? Maybe the reason you're taking off? Actually, you don't need to do that. Employers don't need to know that information. Also, Nick knows when my sister's birthday is. He has it in his calendar. I didn't know you even had a sister. Now you do. More than one, if I'm remembering right. An email from Dante. DVolcano.gogomail.com. Are you sure you're not the reason Nick has to keep a spam in his inbox? I'm a moderately famous actor. If my email address is too obvious, my fans will find it. Yeah, but why DVolcano? From Dante's Peak. I like Pierce Brosnan. You chuckle and open the email. Okay, wow. There are like 8 paragraphs here. This is a letter. Yeah, we wrote to each other sometimes. Is that weird? That depends on what this says. Looks like the first paragraph is about a movie you're working on. The next is about something you aid, which flows into what you're watching on television, and an actress you like, a memoir she wrote. Oh yeah, that memoir couriered to me the next day with his reply tucked into the front. That sounds like Nick. Maybe we should try looking for something actually incriminating. Okay, let me check some of his specialized folders. He worked through Nick's considerable network of folders, passing over all the confidential Whoosh correspondence, but then you see... This is weird. Looks like a spam address, but there's a lot of back and forth. We open a long email chain between Nick and an email address made up entirely of numbers. Each email is short, with no chit-chat or greetings. There are just coordinates with pickup or drop-off specified. What are Nick's replies? Acknowledge, en route, I'll handle it. What the hell is this? These emails go back years. I've never seen these before. I don't want to jump to conclusions, but do we think it could be... Nick liked a good bottle of whiskey, but I don't think he was into anything harder that we know of. It's not uncommon for people of wealth, as Nick, to pick up some bad habits. I grew up in Hollywood, believe me, more people are struggling with stuff like that than you'd think. You just try to take this in as John leans over your shoulder, examining the email chain. It looks more like smuggling operation to me. All this talk of pickups, drop-offs. What? No way. I know we all want to think the best of Nick, but people don't get rich as he was without doing something shady. I think it's something else. I doubt Nick was smuggling or using or anything like that. It's too out of character for him. People can always change for the worse, but that's fair. I'd like to think Nick might not be one of them. Exactly. And if he's not here to defend himself, the least we can do is have a little faith in him. Yeah, there's a lot of people who, aren't like that. The minute someone passes, there's always people who try and, run them through the mud. Snap a series of pictures of the email chain on your phone. Alright, well, either way, these emails are a clue to something Nick was involved with. A clue that doesn't tell us anything. Clues are just puzzle pieces. In isolation, they don't look like anything, but put them together, and you form a picture. Exactly. Close Nick's laptop, rub your hands over the tan snot at the base of your neck, and then stop as a subtle, tangy scent wafts over you. Weird question, do you two smell lemons? No? Bring your hands back to the front of your face. The smell grows even stronger, reminding you of cleaning products. You sniff the computer. It radiates the same lemony tang as your hands. It's been cleaned. The killer must have wiped it down after they used it. Are we surprised by that? If the murder was premeditated, it makes sense that they took steps to cover their tracks. That's not my point. We didn't smell any cleaning products in Nick's room, no evidence that anyone had ever touched anything. But he died from a heavy blow to the head. There would have been a ton of blood to clean up. So we should have smelled chemicals in the bedroom if the murderer had killed him there and bleached the floor. That means Nick was attacked somewhere else in the house and then brought to his room, where he was pushed out the window. So, if we want evidence that points to the killer, we have to find the real murder scene. Without further ado, thanks for watching. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Head down description. Plenty of things to check out there. Without further ado, once again, thank you all for watching. Some of you we have talked on the stream. Some of you have left some interesting comments. It's a very interesting story thus far. Sorry if I ruined your immersion of this book by laughing, but everyone has the damn alibi of no alibi, and then they were all upstairs, so yeah, just saying. So, let's think about this. So he was killed somewhere else in the house, right? It would either, for convenience point, be killed in one of the rooms nearest him, because someone's gonna be dragging, let's just say, a 200-pound man, right? Farah, maybe. Madani, I don't know. The yoga person who is also a therapist. It's not outside of anyone's wheelhouse, but you have to look at the physicality of it all. And also the fact that this was one slap crack in the back of the head either knocked him out or made him completely inebriated. And then the fall might have been the thing that did him in, versus the crack to the back of the head. They might not have. It might have been a crime of passion, or, hey, change your will, or, whatever. And then things got heated, crack in the back of the head, yada yada. A lot to think about, right? A lot to think about. But then it's Pixelberry. It's Pixelberry, and I sit and I question their writing skills as of late. So then we might be thinking too critically. I'm just saying. So, like I said, I always love communicating and conversing with each and every one of you, and, kind of deliberating all this until we find out more evidence, right? So, yeah, can't wait to see your outlooks and outputs. Thanks for watching. Catch you all later. Peace out.